This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. I always love to bring in great guests. Anytime I get the opportunity to, I like to bring in TYVIS to come here, talk about the Browns, talk about football. Always a pleasure to have you on. TYVIS, you want to let the people know the 35 places they can find you at right now?
Well, it ain't quite 35 yet, even though I'm trying to get it up there high. Now you can catch me on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show Tuesdays, Wednesdays, 11 to 1 on YouTube. If you want to hear me on the radio, I do 97.1 The Fan, pretty much Monday through Friday. Sundays, you can catch me on the Browns pregame and postgame show. Pregame with Andy Baskins, postgame with Jeff Phelps. And that's all for right now, you know.
That's it. That is it.
Right now, that's it.
I guess Ohio State ain't playing, so I guess you get to have a little bit of a break right now, right?
College football over, so I got a little break on that.
So one of the things I always like to do is I like to remind people, like, even though football is a dream job and is this great privilege to anybody be able to do professionally, and be involved with it anyway, I still think people forget, like, this is a job with workplace dynamics. Yes. Like any other workplace that you have. And the same way, if you work somewhere, even if it's your field, it's what you love to do. Let's say you're an architect and you want to be in architecture and you work at an architecture firm, but you hate your boss. You probably ain't going to build the best buildings, right? Like, that's probably not where you're going to be at. And when it comes to football, I'm like, hey, man, liking to come to your building is everything about it, because that hurts, right? Like, it's not fun to do that when you really don't want to go. And you'll see stuff like Pittsburgh's a good example of this. What has been concerning about, like, the whole Tomlin stuff with them is like, hey, man, for decades, that looked like a team that liked coming to work. And I watched them on Sunday. I'm like, they want to go home, right? You can watch teams like the Chargers, and you can see it when they play, like, oh, nah, they ready for the season to be over.
I mean, like, you can see that they didn't quit. They like, listen, man, we got 3 more weeks. Let's go ahead and collect these checks. I'm about to go ahead and plan this vacation, and we're going to go ahead and chill for the rest of the year.
Yeah, it ain't good when the pregame speech got echoes in it, right? Like,
crowd ain't behind you no more. It's like, man, come on, man, let's get this
over. Break. All right, man, come on. Everybody looking at the clock to see how much time they got before. Like,
it'll be like that. There's people out here that things like that.
Have you experienced things like that in your career, though, where you're like, hey, you don't have to get super specific, I don't want you to get in any trouble, where you have maybe had an experience for whatever reason? You know, it might not be that the team stunk. It might just be like a personal relationship that you might have had with certain people on the team or certain people in charge of you, and then you get somewhere else and you're like, oh yeah, like, I could work here. Like, okay, this is what they want me to do. This is what I could do this. And then all of a sudden, it just changes everything about where you're at.
No, for sure. I can tell you specifically when I was in my rookie year, when I was in Seattle, man, Seattle was like, you wanted to get up and go. Like, it never felt like practice. And I always felt like, you know, Coach Pete Carroll did a great job of doing this. Man, they had so much fun in that building, man. It's the music be blasting. All the coaches is cracking jokes. The players is fun. Pete want to play games. You get to shoot around on the hoops. They do like shootouts in team meeting rooms. It was always something going on. So, like, when I woke up in the morning, it's like, let me hurry up and get to the VMAC, man, because we're about to get it in, right? And, you know, I can't say that about a lot of places that I've been. Like I said, I played on 8 teams. You know, it was a couple of places that I had to stop in, and I'm just like, I ain't gonna lie, man. Going from Seattle to anywhere else, I say San Fran was fun too. San Fran was really fun. I look forward to it because of the players that was there. And Kyle Shanahan he's a young coach, so he could kind of relate to you. But outside of them 2 places, man, it was a couple of times where I was like, man, I don't feel like going over here today, because it wasn't no energy, or it truly felt like a job. Like, the fun part part of it was gone, and it truly felt like working a 9 to 5. So obviously, those places wasn't the best destinations for me, but yeah, it happens. Trust me, it's a bunch of places out there that understand, like, man, if we bring energy and we make it fun, you get better results out of the players. And then there's just people that look at it like, listen, this is your job. We pay you a lot of money. Make sure you get in here, make sure you prepare, and make sure you get what you got done. And I just don't, ain't nothing wrong with that. Like I said, because they paying you a lot of money, but I didn't enjoy my time at those places.
And it's like people tend to have a weird view about it because it's like sports, and we kind of view this in a more parental like lens when it comes to these athletes, because it's like, oh, why should they have fun? This is a business and everything else. Right. But it's like, even if you look at business, dog, like you think your highest paid realtor in your city is out here doing grueling work every hour of the day? Or do you think they find ways to make this shit fun? Right? Oh, we got this house that we about to sell, but you know what? We gonna have a little part before we sell the house. So everybody
the more successful businesses do that. They have fun with it. Like if you go out there and you keep treating it like a job, like it gets boring. You don't get the best results out of people. But if you have fun and people enjoy coming in, like you get better work results out of those guys or out of those people. So yeah. I think the top corporations probably have a lot of fun, but they just know how to work.
That's the reason Apple got all that stuff in their campus right now. You don't need that to work, right? You don't need that to make a new microprocessor. You don't need none of that. Like silicon, you don't need a pool table in a full service bar at the job. But you know what you do need that for? Morale, right? Because that is important. Even to my homies working for that wage right now, right? There are days that you like to come to work because you got like 2-3 homeboys on that shift. And what happens the second they take one of your homeboys off that shift? Like, you ain't working that hard no more, like, man.
Your production go down. You was probably completing about 100 pallets a day. Now you at like 85. You checking the clock, man. Minutes.
And that's one of the things I think Kevin Stefanski has figured out this year versus other years. Like you see him make more of an effort to make sure that they know that he's with them and that he's doing these certain things, right? He used to be a lot more buttoned up on the sidelines. Now he's letting loose a little bit, right? He's still Kevin. He's still kind of the like, what would you call it? Kind of like the balanced wavelength type dude on the sideline. But he will show some passion with it. Like when a ref needs to be yelled at, he gonna yell. And when a player is crazy, he gonna be like, yo, that was crazy. It's just small stuff like that. It's like, yo, look at Kevin. Like
he was just yelling when Joe Flacco threw a touchdown. I was like, look at this guy. Where this dude been at?
It is part of the reason why the team having so much fun, because they don't watch this dude be like nothing. Baker Mayfield, 22 straight completions. He ain't doing nothing. And then they see him finally break. They're like, yo, we can have fun. And I think Jim Schwartz and Kevin, I think maybe Jim Schwartz had a bit of a part in like, hey, telling Kevin like, hey, man, you got to make sure they like coming here, right? Like that's a big part of this. Yeah. And Jim Schwartz, he came in there, and I like to call him like the P. Diddy of the defense. He didn't make no new beats. He didn't do nothing. He sampled what was old, sped it up a little bit, and put Biggie on the track, and then called it a day. And that's all he had. He was like, you know what? We gonna jam. Every play, we jam it.
The funny part about it is, one, you could tell he brought a lot of energy. I think the one team, I was actually thinking about this as I was driving home from the Cleveland show. I was like, man, you know what the one thing about this team? They with all that wild stuff. Like this team got some stuff to them. Like that, and they fast. Like I think it'll be a lot of chirping, but it wasn't no action behind it. Like these dudes really like that. Like they really about that, and they looking for the smoke. And what made me think about it was for some odd reason I was thinking about San Francisco, and you know how San Francisco, I don't know if you know or not, but they come out in the pregame with the little boom box.
Yeah.
Right. And then when they played us, the Browns came out with their boom box. And I'm like, oh yeah, they with that. Wow. And then it's the chirping before the game. I was about to get into a fight. I'm like, this team really got some grit to them. And I just feel like that was something that was missing. And I thought Jim Schwartz was a huge reason for that. And I think that he helped Kevin understand that, these guys do need to have fun. That's why he gets upset. When you make a play on defense and you don't celebrate, that's a problem. So now you see Gnu doing his dances after a 5-yard gang or something like that, where people are like, why is he dancing? Because his coach making making him do this thing. And it just brings different energy to it. I mean, having these guys hang out in Greenbrier, you know, for training camp, you know, going remember the Titan style, making these guys learn about each other. Like, it's really helped these guys become closer. And I think that's why you see them having so much fun and why you see them so embracing the next man up. You know, these guys understand, like, listen, this roster ain't gonna be the same. Like, this, we only got like 1 or 2 shots at this thing. So we got to make every second count. So that's why when everybody go in there, somebody go down, the next man up go in there is still effective because they understand, like, listen, we got to make it work this year. It's gonna be some changes after this season, so we got to make it work. And like I said, I give credit to Kevin for that and for Jim Schwartz for that.
Now let's shift topics to like the well, we're going to stay on the defense, but one of the things I think is interesting about football is that we spend so much time talking about the quarterback position, and for a good reason, right? If you have an elite quarterback, your margin of error can be crazy, right? You can let stuff happen, stuff can be forgiven, it's fine. But I do think when it comes to like what other spots on the field that do give you that similar margin of error, I think the number 2 area is probably the defensive line. Because if you have a great defensive line, like we saw Philly have last year, like Philly's defensive line just went from elite to okay, like pretty good.
They fell off hard.
You can tell the difference. You're like, yo, everything looks different in Philadelphia.
And these dudes had like, they had like 3 dudes with double-digit sacks or something like that. Like, it was
they had 72 sacks or something like that last year, right? They're like 12th in the league this year. So it's like, if you have that elite defensive line, all it requires from everybody else is so much less, right? Like, you don't need as much from the defensive backs.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, playing DB, man, and playing some box safety. You know, I've been able to see it both ways. You know, in the run game and in the pass game. In the passing game, man, I ain't gonna lie, it's been times where you got beat on the route and the dude wide open, but the quarterback didn't get the ball off because your boy got a sack on the play, or he took the ball down. You like, man, woo, thank you. Or, you know,
you immediately celebrate. Hey, seatbelt.
or it's like, you know, the ball just so happened to come out. The dude's still running his route, but the ball fly past both of y'all, and neither one of y'all looking for it because he had to get rid of the ball. You know, so that's in the passing game. That D line always helps in that aspect because they put so much pressure on that quarterback. In the run game, man, I can't tell you how many times, man, I done had that B gap and I was like a little late getting there, but the D tackled and then beat this dude, broke straight down the middle, and before the quarterback even handed the ball off, it's a TFL or something like that. So it helps both ways. Now, the crazy thing about it is when you don't got that D line, you never notice like how much you need them. Like last year, they probably realized like we need a D line. When them guards up on you real fast, you like, dude, like, hey, dude, D line ain't get no stop. Like they just let it get to the second level this fast. You kind of
just do it a lot of.
Yeah, you like, dude, like, whoa. So that's why that D line makes a huge difference. And I think that's what's allowing these guys on defense to make plays. I mean, like I said, last year we talked about how terrible our defensive tackles was last year. And because they thought, you know, it's a passing league, we ain't gonna need those defensive tackles. And they found out guys just gonna run the ball straight down the middle. Or it even in the passing game when you can't get no pressure. Yeah, you got Myles Garrett on one side, but the quarterback can step up or step to the right and have all the time in the world. So I think that's why when Jim Schwartz came in here, that's why he's so big on having these defense alignment and having multiple ones. So these guys can rotate, they're always fresh, and they can relentlessly get after the quarterback. So you can provide, you know, disruption, cause chaos in that backfield, and it helps the linebackers and it helps the secondary.
And I think this now, like this season has confirmed it to me, but you go back and look at some of the best teams that gotten away with, I think even that helps the offense, right? Having a great defensive line, because your margin of error is so big. It can only be like equivocated or bested by having an elite quarterback when you have that defensive line, because all the Browns are asking Joe Flacco to do is, hey man, we don't care what you do the whole game. Just give us 2 drives. You give us 2 drives, we good. That's it.
14, all we need is 14 out of
you. All we need 14, you know, maybe 3 sometimes, right? Sometimes we might need you to get 3 or the 2.5, right? Get the field goal. All we need when we at home is 2 drives out, and you can literally do whatever you want with them drives in between. Joe Flacco's out there doing a whole bunch of whatever you want.
I mean, listen, every quarterback that's came in there probably has lived.
Yes,
you know, they come in there and they like, man, that defense so crazy. I can take a chance because it ain't gonna kill us. You know, this defense,
like you look at all the quarterbacks who have started, they have all had a 2-3 drive game, right? Where it's like, oh, all I need to do is 2-3 drives, right? DTR had I do nothing in Pittsburgh until them 2 drives, one and a half, and the other one at the end of the game. And guess what? We won, right? PJ Walker lived off them 2 to 3 drive games. And even Deshaun had a couple of those games where it's like, hey, man, all I got to do is 2-3 drives. We up 14. Now I'm on the bench chilling because I ain't got to be here no more.
It's the first year, you know, for many years, we've been talking about how the high-powered offense is what you need to win Super Bowls. You need a receiver, and you need an elite receiver and an elite quarterback. If you got those 2 things, you got a shot at this thing. And I think this year has proven more than not. And just this year in particular, with all the backup quarterbacks that's in the NFL that's playing right now, and teams are still winning, this might be the year that if you got that elite defense, that's what you need to win the Super Bowl this year is the defense, because you can still get things done if you got a quarterback that's just average. He ain't got to be elite; he could be average. But if you got a good play caller and an average quarterback, he can still get things done. And like I say, it's a number of examples of that around the NFL right now in this season. I mean, you think about Jake Brown, and you think about Minnesota, you think about all these quarterbacks that's just down today, 2nd and 3rd string guys, and still finding ways to win games.
And this goes back to something I talk about all the time when it comes to like concepts versus formulas. And I think people got so obsessed with quarterbacks because the most common way to get that margin of error that everybody needs to win the Super Bowl, because you need a big margin of error, is quarterback, right? You get one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the league, you plug that dude in, anybody can coach that to wherever you need to coach it to. But if you want that margin, but it's not about just the quarterback and then getting that wide receiver, it's about chasing that margin of error. And there are multiple ways to achieve that, right? We see the Bengals out here doing it, solid defense, great wide receivers. Basically, Jake Browning, you can even mess up a couple times. You can throw a couple interceptions. You can do a pick 6 2 weeks in a row. Doesn't matter, right? Because we're going to play enough defense, and you got enough dudes on that side of the ball to be able to get away with it. And I wonder if that's going to start to change a little bit as we see the success outside of just the formulaic, get an elite quarterback, get one good wide receiver, call it a day, and don't care about the rest of the team, because there just isn't that many quarterbacks to build the formula off of that for all 32 teams.
I think that the reason that it might have took a little bit longer, because you got to think about this, like a team like the Commanders, they spent like 4 years in a row just drafting a D-line. And it never really materialized to anything. So people probably looked at that like, oh, maybe the D-line ain't important. I mean, when you got Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and all of these guys, you know, that's why it seemed like it was overlooked. But if you think about Philadelphia last year, that D-line that they had and all them sacks, you think about the Browns this year, it's always a team that shows that if you got that pass rush, it's a equalizer, because it creates takeaways. And that's ultimately the greatest equalizer in football. If you could take the ball away like that, it don't matter how good your offense is or how good your defense is. If we can get the ball back, like we'll win the game. And right now, that's the only problem that the Browns have right now, is turning the ball over. They got to find a way to figure that out, because in the playoffs, that might be detrimental to the team. So, yeah, I'm all with the defense. Obviously, I'm a little biased because I played defense, but, I mean, defense win championships. I mean, everybody know that.
Yeah, it's not a saying that comes from nowhere, though. Like, because you look at it, people act like Trent Dilfer's the only one that like, oh, he wasn't that good and he won a Super Bowl. But you look back at it, you're like, okay, 2017, the Eagles won that Super Bowl with Nick Foles. You can make it about Nick Foles, and it was a great story, but we know that 2017 Eagles was dominant on that defensive side of the ball, right? And they were able, all they asked Nick Foles to do 2-3 drives, right? Like,
not turn the ball over. And
couple plays.
It's gonna come down to you. Come on, now we're gonna get you the ball back. We're gonna hold them as long as we can. Just get it down the field.
2015 Broncos, right? All they really was actually paid to do. Yeah, it was just, hey,
Von Miller killed Cam Newton that game.
Yeah, because all they had to need Peyton to do was be a vet, right? Just don't turn this thing over, make some smart throws, hit those check downs.
Rolled off in the sunset, got his ring, knew he ain't do that much, and rolled off in the sunset.
Yep. And you look at it like, you can even look at like some of Eli Manning's championships, like dominant defense
Dominant
behind
defensive
him.
line. Michael
Yeah.
Strahan, all the OCM Umanora and all of these guys, man. Listen, the D line has always been the key. And the thing is, the Browns have had the one piece so long, but they never ever got him any help. And it's sad that it took all the way to what? It took 6 years for them to finally say, let's get him some more pieces on the defensive line. I mean, you think about TJ Watt in his career, he could, like Myles Garrett could have easily had a better career than him if he had some help on that D line. So it's nice that they finally got these defensive tackles that's doing well. I mean, Dalvin Tomlinson had a game last week. So as long as they continue to play like that with Jim Schwartz, with an aggressive guy that simplifies a defense, don't make you think, let you just go out and play. Like you see a guy, like the people in the NFL for a reason, they make plays. So let them, don't stop making these guys think. Like that's the problem. You can't make no plays if you thinking about it. You got to just be reactionary. You give them one thing to look at. If you see it, if it's get your run pass key off of this one guy, once you see it, just go from right then and there, shoot your shot and make plays. That's why you see guys like JOK finally having an unbelievable season. Simplify what he had to do, boom, let the dude make plays. It
doesn't also hurt that teams are terrified of Myles Garrett.
That's true. Like, I mean, he get a triple team every game now.
I was thinking about that. I was like, who have you ever seen teams be this dedicated to just making sure? Like, this is Darrelle Revis level stuff where they're just like, nah. Like, I don't care. Dalvin Thompson be getting sacks. Like Shelby Harrison be getting back there. They not changing that game plan at all. Yeah, they be like, nah, we'll live with it.
Ain't no way no defensive tackle supposed to be getting this many.
They're so fine with living with it. Like, and it doesn't even work half the time. They're just like, nope. And then right when they think, hey man, we gonna just give him a double team. Myles does something crazy, like, nah, nope, back to the nope.
Yep. No, we can't do that. Yeah, we ain't that double team in that single block, never. And then when Myles, if they ever put Myles back over the center again, all hell's gonna break loose.
Yeah, but have you ever witnessed like a player get this much, like double teams and all this? But it's not just that they're double teaming him. It's like how they're double teaming him, right? Because like technically, if you send like a running back on a chip, like that counts as a double team sometimes. Yeah. That's not what they're doing.
No, they got.
I see two dudes in 70s just be like, nah, here.
Listen. You got to line up tackle, tight end, and the running back got a chip on this way out. That's where we at. I'm like, dude, I get it. I mean, and the sick thing is, he's still getting back there and they getting held and they ain't calling it, man. That dude crazy, man. It ain't nothing you can really do about it.
Yeah, there's no stat for that, right? Like, there's no stat for the amount that people avoid him. But I promise you, if you had offensive coordinators get the truth serum and vote who they thought the defensive player of the year is, it's definitely Myles, because ain't nobody they acting like this about right now.
Yeah, I don't know where this Michael Parsons stuff come from, bro. Like, I can't, like, this, I literally can't figure out a way to properly block this man. We just slid the protection that way. We done double team, triple team. This man still is a factor. Like that, you can't coach that. Like, ain't nothing you can do about that. That's a DPOY right there.
Yeah, that's domination at your position. That is just truly okay. They have given up. They have given up being creative about this. Like, because these are like super simple solutions that they're throwing at Myles that you will only used to see. Like, you see shit like this with LeBron, where it's like, all right, well, just triple him. Like,
Brian going to the hole. We about to go old school. We running the 2-3 or 1-3-1. Forget all that.
You see what TJ Watt, they still like think they got room to get cute about that. They're like, yeah, we gonna pull this dude here, then we gonna roll out, then we gonna take care of TJ like that. We ain't gonna have to do that much. No, with Myles, they keep it real simple on them sideline meetings. Hey, I'm getting beat. All right, which side you getting beat? Inside? All right, you watch inside for Myles. Don't care about what else happened. Like,
that's it. We'll figure out the rest, but we gotta take care of that dude.
Mm-hmm. No, it's nuts, and it's an insane year that he's having. I wonder if one day we'll figure out how to like quantify these kind of things properly, because you see guys become victims of their own success. I think I mentioned Darrelle Revis was a good example of this, where people start thinking he wasn't that good anymore because people simply refused to throw the ball to him. And I remember people did the same thing to Sauce Gardner coming out of Cincinnati because he didn't do anything in the Alabama game. And I was like, the fact that he didn't do anything in the Alabama game tells me everything I need to know about why Sauce Gardner might be the best corner in this draft, because Nick Saban was like, nah, like on a team with a good defense, right? Other good NFL players on that defense, and he was like, not him. And that's where Myles is at, on a very, very talented defense. You got to worry about Denzel Ward. You got to worry about Martin Everson. You got to worry about Greg Newsome, JOK out here flying around. Zadarius Smith is a former All-Pro. And they have simplified this.
JOK got 18 TFLs this season.
Yes.
I'm just like, how? Like, I know how. Like,
he got 18 TFLs, TYVIS, and they still are like, no, we're putting 3 on Myles. Like, it's not like everybody else is sorry around Myles and they doing this. Like, nah, they aren't even getting away with it, but they just like, not him. Not today.
The thing is, they've been doing this for years, and it's like this the first time that, even though he getting triple team, like at least somebody else eating though. Like, yeah. Imagine getting triple team and like nobody doing anything like that.
Dog, like, you know how mad he was? It's a reason why nobody on that defensive line returned last year, right? You go back there, it's like Jordan Elliott, and that's it. That came back for that team last year. Everybody else is going. Alex Wright.
Yeah,
Alex Wright.
That was draft pick.
Young, yes, rookie contracts. Everybody else that was grown is gone from that defensive line because Myles got tired of looking around and seeing y'all out here being sorry while I'm being great, and then I'm getting credit for not being great. Like, nah.
No, that's a fact, man. I don't understand, man. You sit there and put in all this work and you bust your butt this whole all season to be great, and knowing that you're gonna get all this attention. That's why he probably got so good at splitting double teams and triple teams. He's like, this is the only way we got anything. Nobody else.
He got so good at splitting double teams that he's like, now I gotta learn triple teams. Like, now I get through 2 and it's one more waiting for me. Like, his life right now is a gauntlet. Like, you ever play Dark Souls? It's like that. It's like just endless gauntlets of enemies that they just send at him before they let him get to the boss. And it's ridiculous at this one. And then he gets held. Like, not just held. Not a little tug.
Dude, the dude from last game, did you see the video of the dude rapping his He grabbed his leg. Dude fell to the ground and grabbed his leg. I said, that's embarrassing, man. That's embarrassing.
That's how good Myles is. Got a grown professional athlete. Like, nah, I'll embarrass myself, dog. I got to do something. Like, I bet if you ask him, why would you do that? That's just so egregious. He'd be like, hey, I got to do something. Like, what am I supposed to do? Just let him protect my dude. Yeah. And Myles is just, it's egregious, and it's kind of a compliment because you only get that treatment when they believe that your existence is just an unfair advantage inherently. Like, they go, I see you, I see them. We got to nerf you, dog. Like, the game would never start. Like,
I tell you, man gonna get holding calls every play, man. They got it. It's sad. It's really sad.
Can you explain to me what's going on with these dudes running into Myles Garrett and getting injured? We've had 4 of them this year.
It's Myles Garrett.
Listen, is he that?
Them friendly fires hurt the worst. I ain't gonna lie to you. You ever get out there in that field and you playing that defense and you get hit by your own, for some odd reason, it's like they hit extra hard when it's your own. You be like, God, dog, hit him. Don't hit me. Dudes be flying over the pile or something like that. You get hit. Man, that stuff hurts so bad.
I was wondering because I was like, see, it's one thing if it's like Grant Delpit that gets hurt when he's in that fire with Myles and the big guys. I be seeing Zadarius Smith bump into Myles Garrett and be like, oh.
You be like, you see why he be like, dang, he going hard. I see why these dudes be scared of him.
No, he's trying. He's trying.
Dude, he on some other stuff.
He's really good because after every mic'd up segment he ever has, the offensive tackle goes out of their way to be like, hey man, you're really good. How did I do? Like, I don't know how good how good does somebody have to be a receiver for you to go shake their hand and ask them for advice on technique?
The only dude I ever shook his hand out there game was Saquon Barkley in college. I was like, that dude nice.
You had to, yeah.
I
Penn State Saquon. The Penn State teams it was like watching a high school team in college because it was just like, hey man, we got one guy. He's getting the ball.
I swear.
26 is getting the ball.
I was like, and he was a freshman too. I said, yeah, you that dude for sure. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, he was a freshman, still built like Saquon. Like,
yeah, for sure. He looked like that his whole life. He's been like that his entire career.
So could you imagine running into that like your junior year of high school?
Man, I'd be like, man, this dude on roids.
or like, you see the pictures of Myles Garrett and Nick Chubb where you're like, they've looked like this their whole life.
Yeah, I would. If I see Myles, I'd be like, bro, you juicing.
I'd be like, dang, man, my knee hurt.
You 1000% juicing. There's no way that you built like this.
Hey, I bet his teammates was acting up when they had Myles Garrett on the team. But you get a certain level of confidence in your trash talk with a dude like that is on your team. Oh yeah, I bet they was saying crazy stuff.
I mean, just imagine. I mean, just look at what he was doing to Jib Wheels this year in training camp.
Yo, yeah, it was
like he beat the dude so bad they didn't even stop the play. Like they just kept going because they like it's Myles. There's nothing we could do about that.
Deshaun was just like, all right,
yeah, we ain't even gonna pay attention. That don't even count. That don't count.
We don't play him. We don't play him at all this year. What's the dude at the Eagles? One of the guys at the Eagles like, man, I'm glad I don't play them this year.
He killing you so bad, right? It don't even pay him no attention. He don't count.
I know Trevor Lawrence wanted to get the hell out of this 3-game stretch, man. Like he was having such a rough one, and it was like, okay, you play the Bengals. They playing Jake Browning. Hey man, they still like a team that went back-to-back conference championship games, and they got Trey Hendrickson and all these guys out here, and we out here like, yeah man, they're the one team that's defensive line ain't really like that in the AFC North. Like you go from that to the Browns,
and then the Ravens.
Woo! I know he was sick. Hey, he is about to be so glad to play the Buccaneers next week.
Man, I ain't even thinking about that. Yeah,
woo!
It's been a gauntlet for sure.
He about to feast on the Panthers. Like it's like when you take the game out of all matter, you put it on rookie so you can get the score back up when you want it. Yeah, he's about to do that. He's about to run that.
Get his swag back, bro. He's been down.
He about to change the sliders because that. I know nobody in that locker room could be thinking great things after those 3 games because it's like, dog, we lost to everybody that's in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm about to say they lost everybody.
Like, everybody we might play, we lost to.
I think they said we gotta win this division because if we don't, we ain't got a chance.
Dog, it's 3 teams with backup quarterbacks right now, and we all looking at Jacksonville like, nah, we want you. Like,
we gotta match up with you.
Like, hey, I can't wait to see Jacksonville. We might not want to win the division because that means we got to play Buffalo. Like, nah, I'm trying to play you.
Buffalo coming for it. They coming for it.
This might be the worst year to win your division ever.
I want to play Buffalo, man. Them boys on fire right now.
Buffalo, whoever ends up number 2 in the AFC North. Like, I don't think the Browns are a fun draw. Like, they might not have a quarterback, but they're not a fun draw right now.
You got to play a physical brand of football, and it's late. And it's January. Like, nobody want to cold outside now. You got to play physical like that. Nobody want to do that.
And the thing about the Browns is that they got dudes around both sides of the ball still. Like, all the injuries. David Njoku has been one of the best tight ends in the NFL. Amari Cooper's been one of the better wide receivers. Yeah, absolutely. He's had a career year. He's top 5 in receiving yards for tight ends. You got that. And then you have Amari Cooper, and quiet as kept. Elijah Moore has been living up to them expectations a little bit the last few weeks. And you look there, you're like, oh no, like the reason this kind of able to work is because, hey man, Joe Flacco got guys he can just throw that thing up to, and it just works. Like,
if they ever get that running game fixed, man, it'll be very, very scary, and it's hard with that offensive line keep getting hurt. But if they can come up with a good game plan or effective way to get the ball ran, it'd They assuring to make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see what they come back look like next year. But this year has just been an interesting ride all the way around. Like it felt like the season was over at 4 different points in this season. And every time they done came back stronger. Like, what are you talking about? The season's over. And it is just a remarkable team. And I think it has a lot to do with some of the stuff that we talked about in the beginning, where it's like they just have a better culture around it. And this is the first time, like, Cleveland has had good seasons, like 2 good seasons, and you can make the argument, oh, they're starting to make this approach. But this is the first time I'm like, this is the first time you can look at Cleveland and look at like Pittsburgh and be like, oh, one team's clearly headed in a different direction than the other. And it's not Cleveland on the downturn. It's like, nah, you look at Pittsburgh and you're like,
But
they got
they ain't giving up on plays. They ain't blocking to the wheel. It is they definitely just trying to get through the season. Like
they got problems. And I knew they had problems because what was it after the Browns game? Najee was like, yeah, we winning games, but this ain't really sustainable. And that's not something you say when you truly believe. Like,
you can't say that.
Yeah, that's kind of nuts. I was like, oh, that's a problem. Like, they actually don't think they're good. Yeah. And when you don't think that, I was talking to somebody who covers the Steelers, like, when you don't think that, there's a lot of for who for what going on the field. Because, like, oh, we're going to make the playoffs. Like, if you don't think you good, it don't matter if you make the playoffs. You're like, it's an extra game. Like, it's not even it's like what the NFL PA check that you get. It's not like even like your game check.
Yes. No, it's like every week it goes up. So I think like the first one is like 15,000. Like I don't know exactly the numbers, but I would say it's like 15,000. In the next game it's the 30,000. I think if you win that one, it's 64,000, and I think the Super Bowl is like 100,000, maybe something like that. Or something
y'all need to renegotiate that one.
Because you get your salary is for 18 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So you get your full salary after the last game of the season. And
now I see why Joe Flacco negotiated that into his contract. He was like, nah, I'm not about to be out here with these.
I'm about to keep taking these practice squad checks.
Mm-hmm. Nah, he made sure he negotiated himself a deal. But that's one of the things. It's like, okay, they could get to 9-8. But like, what's really the motivation to get there, right? Because they don't think they're good. They're not.
They should probably want to lose so they can try to get a better draft pick. That's what happens, when you get towards the end of the season, man. If you ain't got no hope, you start looking at the draft like, what's the point of us winning? Like, what we getting out of winning? Like a worse draft pick. So let's just go ahead and lose and just get a better draft pick.
Mm-hmm. Here's how you know a team is done. If they walk out and the opposing crowd boos them, you know how you always get booed when you visit a team. And it's not one person like, yeah, boo me. Like, they just running out there getting booed. Like, yeah, man, let's go to this sideline and play this damn game. Yeah.
Here, let me hear
it. Yeah. When you get booed on the road and you like, yeah, give me that. I got the boo box out, everything. Okay, yeah, they came to play. They might have something for you. The team that just...
I got to see who Pittsburgh played this week. They play Cincinnati, don't they?
They play Cincinnati, yeah.
Oh yeah,
they ain't up for that one.
Yeah, it's over. If they ain't up for Cincy, a divisional game, then it's over.
They had George Pickens out there just actively not trying on the block, and then they asked him about it, and he was like, "Well, of course I'm not trying. Have you seen other people get hurt?" And I'm like,
it'd be different. It's like the first time Deontay Johnson did that same thing early. Mm-hmm. Like, y'all like, yeah, we done with this.
Hey, I know where this ends, and it usually ends with the story coming out like, what, 2019? It was the come get me year, right?
Come get me.
I know George Pickens' trash talk is crazy because he'll get open on a route and then turn to the corner and be like, hey, when I get traded next year, this ain't gonna happen no more. Like,
probably.
You're
Yeah, throw them cleats up on the barbed wire. It's
Oh
over.
yeah. Hey, Devontae Davis got halfway through a game. Was like, I still don't want to be out here.
And
Hey man, I'll go home.
Vontae Davis lost his mind. I can't believe he did that.
What would you have done if you was in the locker room in that kind of a situation?
I would have been like, I'd have thought he was trolling. I'm like, you just trolling, right? And when we walked back out there, if he didn't come out, I'd be like, oh, this dude was dead serious. This the wildest thing I've ever seen in my life.
He just left, had the Instagram post up about his retirement during the game.
We got in the Uber, called an Uber home.
I was thinking about that. Like, what are the logistics of leaving the stadium that early? Like, it can't be an easy thing to do.
So the fans looking like, ain't you supposed to be on the field?
Because the parking attendant for the players ain't in the garage at that point, right? They doing something else.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just get your car and go. Like, he probably had to go in a different car to go. Like, that's.
You could at least finish the game. That's all I was like. You could finish the game.
You could have faked the injury or something. Like, you know.
I mean, there's so many different ways that you could have went about this.
Hey, that man was done. that was a man who quit that job in the middle of his shift. He was like, you know what? I can't be here another second. I don't want to hear another whistle.
Boy went on lunch break and didn't come back.
You done had it. Look, you done went to college. You seen it where it's like your whole boy here chilling at your place. And you know they got to be at work. And you find out they don't work there no more. It's like, oh, man, I thought you were supposed to be at work. Yeah, man. And then they just keep playing the game like, oh, so you just don't work there no more. Yeah, I guess that's what's happening. Yeah, you quit that job. Okay.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Like, I know for a fact you don't work there no more. All right. Got his work uniform on, so he clearly went.
Boy lying to his girl. Like, yeah, I'm on my way to work. Boy, nowhere near no job.
Play Xbox. On your game save. Nah, that's a nut situation. I feel like the NFL is so much funner when you just realize that part about it, because so many people just get caught up in these myths about, oh yeah, the coach got to just start screaming at people and yelling. I'm like, why would you? If somebody came to my job and yelled at me, I'd be like, man, I'm gonna start looking for a different job. I ain't about to get yelled at trying to put out these podcasts.
Like I said, Pete, I've never heard Pete yell at nobody. Like we be losing 35-0, he still be in good spirits. It's like the craziest thing in the world.
It's just we fall into these cliches and these coaches that we think like, oh yeah, that's how what a coach is, and then it ends up being how everybody goes about it, and it's just such a limited way of looking at like football. It's like, and you probably don't learn shit when somebody is screaming at you. You probably learn something when the dude stops screaming at you, when somebody slows you down. Like, all right, man, so what you're doing here is this. You need to do that. Like it's like learning anything else, but like when it comes to sports and football specifically, everybody else just does a whole 180 on what they think actually works versus what works for everybody. It's like the owners. These owners got their money by having a bunch of money beforehand, hiring people who knew what they were doing, and be like, all right, man, y'all make the money. All right, I'll take the check at the end. Y'all make the money. We gonna be good at the end of the day, right? That's how they got their money. Or they made an investment, they hired somebody to make an investment for, boom, they 3x the money or whatever it is. I mean, why would they buy these teams? They'd be like, yeah, I got to do it myself. Like, nah, dog, you ain't do this anywhere else.
They don't know nothing about no football.
It's like, would you just not respect this? Like, you just think you can just walk in here and just do football? Like, nah, man. Look, Jimmy learned that the hard way, and he is now like, hey, Paul's in charge. Like, Paul's in charge. He hired Andrew. Ask Andrew. I ain't got nothing to do with this, dog. Like that is a subsidiary of a subsidiary that handles that situation. I'm gonna just buy the Bucks. I'm gonna just do some other stuff.
I got the MLS team. I got the Columbus Crew winning the cup. You know, I got.
Best thing your owner could do is buy a different team, because that means he ain't focused on your team that much. So he just, hey, guy can't. At the end of the day, no matter who that owner is, you don't make $100 billion learning about football, right? Like you're not going to be super qualified, but you are going to have the biggest vote in the room. and you got to get the most unqualified man with the vote out the room. You got to figure out how to do that. Like, you just got to figure out how to do that. And for the Browns, it's like, hey, Jimmy, buy the shit. And they figured it out. Like,
go figure out the Milwaukee Bucks, man.
Hey, man, what about the Columbus Crew, right? Like,
man, the Columbus Crew in the championship. You don't want to go check it out.
Oh yeah, last year when UT looked like they was gonna make the playoffs, I'm like, hey man, how's UT going? They was just talking nonstop about UT. Don't want him talking about nothing at work. Like, nah. But you gotta figure out how to do that. But TYVIS, thank you for coming on today. Always a blast to have you on. Make sure you check out TYVIS at one of his. We agreed on 5 spots that you have.
No. Where we at right now? Hold on. Cleveland,
5 or 6.
Cleveland show, radio. We had 3 right now. 3 active. 3. 5 jobs total, but 3 of them is active, right?
3 of them active. You got. So springtime come up, then you gonna have, I don't know, don't you got to cover the transfer portal now? Like, ain't they messing up your grind? Like, it used to just be you could go back to college in like spring and be like, all right, now we gonna cover the college stuff. They try to make this 24/7, man. Ain't nobody got bandwidth for that.
Man, the college recruiting stuff, that's a whole nother story that I don't I don't even want to go down that one right now.
Yeah, they gonna be asking you about that pretty soon here. You ain't never escaping this ball. When you were a kid and you played football, you didn't think you was ever going to, you didn't think you would be this old and never escape it, did you? Like,
this is every day, man. This is who I am now.
This is football from a choice that you made. When you start playing, you was 8?
9.
9. Because your friends was doing it and shit.
Sorry, my brother was doing it.
Next thing you know, your whole life about this ball, dog. Who gonna play this ball? Who gonna transfer to this place to play this ball? Like,
crazy. Man. All right, Q, I'm going. I appreciate you having me on, man. you hilarious.
Appreciate you being on, man. Hopefully I didn't give you an existential crisis. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.